Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be taking a look at Daniel Jeremiah's 2024 Mock Draft 1.0. Now, there's a lot of teams, obviously all 32 teams are in this, so we are not going to take a look at every single team. We're just going to take a look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and see what Daniel Jeremiah has the Buccaneers doing in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. I believe this pick is a little bit wrong, but I'm sure the same principle still applies. Daniel Jeremiah is literally one of the most plugged in media guys for the NFL draft, just in the world. That's just what it is. You could argue he is top two. I would argue that Daniel Jeremiah knows more about what teams are going to be doing in the upcoming draft than, say, like a Mel Kiper. I really do believe that. This dude is an absolute GOAT. So let's go ahead and see what he had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers doing. A lot of different quarterbacks, by the way. We don't necessarily got to worry about all that. One thing I will note is that he did have the Saints taking Bo Nix. Interesting. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are further down in this draft because they actually made the playoffs. So let's go ahead and go a little bit deeper down. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at pick number 26, which I believe is where they actually are now. Something along those lines. I believe that's where they end up, is pick number 26. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments section, but I still believe the same principle applies. They have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Daniel Jeremiah has the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Ennis Rakeshaw Jr., cornerback out of Missouri. And just a little quick blurb here. He loves Rakeshaw's toughness and competitiveness. He fits the Bucs mold with Todd Bowles. And, you know, taking a look real quick at the overall stats of Ennis Rakeshaw, firstly, out of Missouri. I mean, good school, right? I think that's a good school. 6 feet tall, 188 pounds. Played at a really decent school, in my opinion. He has, obviously, nothing to do yet, but his NFL comparison is Roger McCreary. We haven't had the Combine. We haven't had the Senior Bowl, nothing along those lines. So there isn't a ton to look at here. But whenever you look at his strengths, run support's a big thing. Physical, everything that you look at here is just a big, tough, physical type of cornerback. Right now, that does get him a pension for getting flagged, and he does have a bit of an injury concern in 2021. He tore his ACL, which maybe has affected his recovery speed and some of these different types of things. But whenever I take a look at Todd Bowles' defense, it does make sense. Big, physical, maybe a man-to-man type of cornerback is what the Buccaneers like. And if he can learn some zone, because Todd Bowles does certainly run a good bit of zone as well, I could see Rakestraw Jr. fitting in very well with what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers like to do. Roger McCreary is a very solid comparison, by the way. And I think that this is a guy who can have success in a Todd Bowles style defense, much like in the case of what Daniel Jeremiah was saying, right? I really do believe that. And whenever you look at Roger McCreary and what he's done in the NFL so far, he was a second-round pick in 2022. He was a first-team All-American, first-team SEC. You look at a guy at Ennis Rakestraw again. Mike Vrabel's defenses were hard-hitting. They were guys that really relied on just tough, physical types of cornerbacks. Rakestraw is a guy who I think can fit right into that. Is a guy that hasn't gotten any college accolades, so to speak, but is a guy that I think can give you a lot of potential. What's interesting is that a little bit further down in this draft, you have Kool-Aid McKinstry going from Alabama to the San Francisco 49ers. Now, that's interesting. This could be because Kool-Aid McKinstry is a guy who may be different from the mold of what Todd Bowles likes to see, but 6'1", 195 pounds. He gets comparisons to A.J. Terrell. He's a guy that I think would also be a good fit. And that's not a knock on Rakestraw. We could very well possibly see Kool-Aid McKinstry mocked to the Buccaneers in future drafts, but it was surprising that the Buccaneers didn't go with Kool-Aid McKinstry in Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft. But that does raise questions of if Daniel Jeremiah has the Buccaneers taking a cornerback here in the first round, what does that mean for Jamel Dean moving forward? What does that mean for Carlton Davis moving forward? Has Daniel Jeremiah heard some buzzing that the Bucs may move on from one of those guys? Because I understand investing a lot in the cornerback position. It's obviously a very, very important thing. But you can't have three number one guys or three guys who can play 1 and 2. I mean, you can rotate them for sure, but I imagine if you do draft a guy like Ennis Rakestraw, he's a guy that could start for you right away as a first round draft pick, I should say. So Does that mean the Bucs may be wanting to move on from either Jamel Dean or Carlton Davis? I don't know. Whenever Jamel Dean left the Detroit Lions game or with an injury and they had to put in Zion McCollum, they picked Zion McCollum apart. And that's really unfortunate because I think that Zion McCollum had a really great year. He just had a really, really bad second half in that Lions game. But it also goes to show the overall value that Jamel Dean brings to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this makes you consider, is this something where Daniel Jeremiah views a guy like Ennis Rakestraw as a number 3 and just a really solid number 3 guy that can maybe play a little bit of nickel, maybe play a little bit of outside? Or does he view Ennis Rakestraw maybe he's a number 2 if he is hearing buzz that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers may move on from a guy like Jamel Dean, or maybe a guy like Carlton Davis, who, when he was out, the Buccaneers seemed to not fall off that much. It is a pretty interesting conversation, folks. But right now, Daniel Jeremiah, one of the most locked-in guys, does have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting a cornerback. Also, another interesting thing to note here, I do want to point this out. Quarterback with pick 1, Caleb Williams. Drake May with pick 2. Jaden Daniels with pick 3. You keep on going down. The next quarterback you get is here at pick 14 with Bo Nix. After that, you keep on going. Daniel Jeremiah doesn't have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking a quarterback. That is very interesting as well, because at pick 26, who's still on the board? Michael Penix Jr. and J.J. McCarthy, both guys who just played in the national championship. He doesn't have the Buccaneers taking either one of those guys. That, to me, is Daniel Jeremiah saying, hey, the Bucs are probably pretty comfortable with Baker Mayfield, and they're going to look to build around, give Todd Bowles more weapons, build around Baker Mayfield as this team's starting quarterback, and getting a franchise guy on the shelf for the time being. Now, obviously, who knows what the heck would happen in the second round, but very interesting that Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy are not in Daniel Jeremiah's first round draft pick. Not very surprising, a little surprising for me. Not just that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers didn't take a guy, but that you didn't see really anybody, take a Michael Penix or a J.J. McCarthy. And maybe that's just because a lot of teams don't really 100% need a quarterback like that right now. I mean, maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers could take one of those guys. Maybe the LA Rams could take one of those guys. But, I mean, the Seattle Seahawks could possibly take one of those guys. It's interesting to me. The Raiders could take one of those guys. It's just interesting where Daniel Jeremiah has those priorities for those teams right now. Is that a knock on Penix? Is that a knock on J.J. McCarthy? Again, from one of the most plugged-in NFL draft guys in the game right now, if not the most plugged-in NFL draft guy who knows very well what these teams are doing? I don't know. You guys tell me. But the Buccaneers go with Ennis Rakestraw Jr. out of Missouri. I like the pick. I like the mock draft from Daniel Jeremiah. It makes sense given how the Buccaneers ended their season. You could certainly use some help in the secondary, and secondary help would be on the way with this selection. And maybe in the next mock draft, it will be Kool-Aid McKinstry. Who knows? I think both would be very good selections, and I would be all in favor of the Buccaneers taking a cornerback. A healthy cornerback rotation is not a bad thing at all, in my opinion, and I think we're just going to get to know and hopefully love Ennis Rakestraw Jr. more as the NFL draft season commences. So, let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them down in the comment section below. What do you think about Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions about this. Are you for it? Are you against the idea of taking a cornerback? Again, let me know. Do you think that this is a knock on Carlton Davis, or not even a knock on Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, but do you think that this hints at the possibility of one of them being moved on from this offseason? And I'm going to be completely honest, I love the guy. I do. I've been talking about him. I've loved him since day one. But right now, if I had to make a guess as to who the organization, and this isn't what I would do, but if I had to make a guess as to who the organization would feel is more expendable, I would probably have to say Carlton Davis over Jamel Dean. I love both those guys. I'm just talking out and throwing some theories out as to what the organization's mindset may be moving forward. Save a little bit of money moving on from Carlton Davis. That's money you could put towards other things, and you can get a replacement here in Ennis Rakestraw, as well as hopefully see Zion McCollum take a leap in year number 3 as well. And also, no quarterback. What do you guys think that means for Baker Mayfield? What do you think that means for the overall vibe, the overall opinion of the NFL for guys like Michael Penix Jr. and JJ McCarthy? Would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. As always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.